Welcome to I Know a Guy Bicycles, hanging out with the guy. I'm Justin, the guy. So today we're going to do a 2023. What is that? It's right now January. Seems like everybody has like their predictions. What's it going to be? How's the market is going to relate? Cycling world has been really shaken up from the COVID from 2020 due to the fact of the huge insurgence of people getting into the sport, and also a shortage that shortly followed, in addition to a lot of other just craziness. Well, in my perspective, in my world, this is what I'm going to talk about. What we're looking at is, yes, what the market was doing prior to 2020. A lot of the major manufacturers are kind of going back to that default setting in a sense of providing bikes and so forth and parts, but they're really addressing the old playbook. It's not really reflecting of the new norm, and they're going to have some adjustments to go through that. Well, what's that going to be to a business like me? Well, I'm a small little guy, and what I do is specifically a niche. I've tried to provide good, high quality, well-tuned road bikes that are used to the market where people want to get into road riding but can't afford a new model, which is $1,500 to $2,000. There's still a shortage on those particular bikes because a lot of bike brands and manufacturers are really focusing on the higher end stuff in the road market specifically. Not necessarily, I'm not talking about mountain bikes or kids bikes or hybrids, specifically just road bikes. And that's my niche. So when you're looking at that, nothing really has changed too much in that perspective. Going into 23, they're still not going to have that bike in that price range. But here's the thing. The 2020 craziness ballooned used sales high, and shortages of trying to find a used bike was almost impossible. That has now changed. What's happened, in my perspective, is more bikes are becoming more available because of those people who bought bikes used on the fly or new, and they're like, we're not really into it, which is unfortunate, but that provides another bike onto the used market. That price range, well, that's still all up in the air. Some people think it's 2 years ago and they can get pretty much anything for the bike, and they're going to find out really shortly that it's not really the case. The prices have actually dropped quite a bit, substantially, and that doesn't even include the seasonality of it too. Granted, seasonality depends on where you're living. So if you're in the southern states right now in the winter, when I'm shooting this video, is basically their season. Up north here, Colorado and further, we're freezing. We're doing indoor training rides and all that kind of thing. So, that used market is definitely going to open up more, even so that we've seen that in 2022. It's going to become more available product out there, which is great because that provides more opportunity for me to get more of a variety of bikes and quality bikes so I can pick and choose the ones I want to work on. And that kind of sounds kind of like elitist, but what I'm trying to do is provide bikes that what I'm picking on to do the refurbish has the best potential of being the best bike for the person at the long run. So I'm just kind of bringing the best of the best versus whatever I could find, which was 2020 and 2021. Now I can actually bring a lot better quality bikes, more unique, more fun, more history, all those little things, which makes it more exciting for me too, and a little less work for me to get those things going. But in the long run, it's going to provide a good solid bike for the end user, and hopefully it's the right size and all that. Still, the caveat hangups, or the hangups would still be, used bikes are still used. So they still have like that top 20 list of things that I have listed to check, make sure that it's running safely and functioning and that kind of thing. You're still probably going to need a tune-up, always build that into that. But going into 23, there's going to be a lot more tempting bikes out there, and the prices are going to come down a little bit. So for for the person that's just getting into road riding, or is like, oh, I missed the big wave now, or I bought a bike, it doesn't fit me, or I'm ready for the next level, but I'm not ready for the $2,000 bike. I want to get into something a little bit more carbon, a little bit lighter weight, maybe fits me a little bit better. That's going to provide more opportunity for those bikes to come out. As an industry as a whole, that's, we're all in uncharted waters. They're all going to act like they know what they're doing. They don't. I've been in the industry for over 30 years, and they've had peaks and valleys over through those, and some hard times and changes and some very good successes. But in the end of the day, we're in a really different kind of bizarro world due to the fact of supply and demand and building. And now they're saying they have now too much product on the shelves, which made discounts, but really the prices were inflated initially. So they're just discounting to where they should be now. That's one perspective that I've heard. The other ones, what do you walk on the sales floor on a bike shop, and you're just seeing a whole bunch of high-end stuff, because that's all they try to produce, because that's where they were just selling a lot of that. And then now they're going to go, oh wait, that market is now saturated and everybody's not into it anymore. Now we got to like reel it back. And manufacturing reeling back is a slow roll. It's not something they can just do on a stop of a dime. Reason being, a lot of people may or may not understand this, but the design of a new bike, going through testing and creating it and speccing the parts and having it manufactured, or start the manufacturing process, that's like a year to a year and a half process. In addition to when you're starting to spec bikes and getting into the actual production of it, even if everything is a green light and a go, it's still like about a month before those bikes get produced. They get all collected and put on a container on a ship, which sits on the water for 3 months, I believe, to get over here. Then it has to go through customs. So it's a long process from beginning to end. So if they need to change or tweak, they can in the process in that level, but not that extreme. And also, you have availability issues that are going on. It's like, well, now I'm seeing $1,500 road bikes with the bottom line componentry. The frames are okay, but everything else is like, okay. So you're looking at it in all the other lines of perspectives too. In addition to the whole umbrella of the situation is smaller bike shops or independent bike shops are being squeezed out. This has always been the case, but now it's a big power play amongst these big manufacturers. Trek Specialized and another brand overseas are buying up shops. There's some good and bad to that. The good is it's providing good, opportunity for those employees that work in the industry to have a ladder to climb up. When you're in a small mom and pop shop like my parents and I, you only top out of the end and you have a glass ceiling. It doesn't go anywhere from there. That's it. So it does provide more opportunities for those individuals, better pay, benefits, and so forth. But for the shop owners, that puts you in a pinch, because you're either going to end up, having to really brand yourself and have a special niche, like me, something similar to that, not exactly, but something of that nature to keep those customers engaged, which is great. Or you sell out, it's like, it's one of those things. They have deep pockets. They can go through this new low and survive it and bounce back and do adjustments because they have deep pockets and investors and that kind of thing. So in retrospect of what we're going to be looking at for 23, it's, people are going to be more engaged, and hopefully we retained a lot of those new customers that came to the market in 2020 and keep them going and upgrade them. And parts are going to become more available to fix up current bikes as well as used bikes. So, that being said, we're going to have hopefully a good season. There's going to be some changes, and the big companies are still going to be aggressively buying more shops. And top of that, some of the smaller shops are going to be either selling out, and there's unfortunately I've seen a few go out of business, which always pulls at my heartstrings. But at the end of the day, it's for the customer, you still want to look for that shop that's going to fit your needs and kind of aligns with what you're looking for in a shop. And that still is true regardless if it's owned by Trek or Specialized, or even going to REI, that kind of thing. You know, there's people, there's still people. And working at a big box store myself over the years, it's, you know, you have those customers that they still want that human connection in the sense of you're still a person and you're providing good, you know, service and that kind of thing. And they, you know, they may not care, or and also doesn't affect them when they're looking at a big box versus a small mom and pop shop where I basically came from. So anyway, you know, the 2023. For me, I'm looking forward to providing more informational videos and so forth. I've really tapped into this market and I'm really enjoying it, and I'll provide as much information and insights for what I do, and on top of that, provide good solid road bikes and provide those to individuals that are just starting off into road riding. And I'm excited about getting fresher product and so forth, and working on them. And unfortunately for me, there's only so much time in the day, right? So there's only so many bikes that I can produce at a time. So to, you know, branch out for more information and providing that through this channel is something I look forward to doing. So the highs I would think for 23 is we're going to get a little bit better product. The prices are going to come down from the bigger box stuff. There's going to be a little more of a saturation of inventory, which is finally good for the consumer in a sense, because they'll have more sales and promotions from parts to bikes themselves. Places like the Pros Closet, they'll have to bring their prices down a little bit too, and also bring in a little bit more of a market. They've also opened up a showroom floor to go to direct customer and local market, which something that kind of threw me off. Like, why didn't I never had that before? But I guess they didn't really need it until now. So now that's what they're doing, and that's part of adapting, right? So, you know, those are the things that are going to be positive. The negatives for 23, well, you're still going to have some shortages, not maybe able to find exactly what you're looking for sometimes. And also the smaller shops, you know, possibly will be going under. And hopefully those bigger guys, they've really kind of adjusted themselves and foreseeing what's going to be happening and be able to weather this financial inflation storm, which, you know, it's affect the cycle industry over the years. And here's the tidbit, and if you're still watching, this is one of those things where we've had high and lows in the cycling industry over the years, and there's been several peaks and valleys, and there's usually a pretty good drop, and it feels pretty harsh when you're coming off of a pretty big high, because with the cycling world, you're just constantly struggling in a sense of trying to make things work and tooth and nail and claw and doing. You have successes, but you have several setbacks, and when you get a high and you're like, oh, and you're going back into that downward swing. And I would say some of those big guys, when they sold to Trek, saw this coming in a sense where there's going to be a drop, and you know, they're cashing in their chips and somebody's buying them. So that's great. So hopefully we'll see some more unique individuals like me come to the market that provide, you know, not just information, but product as well. I've seen several YouTubers out there. They're just a YouTube channel. I'm actually a business that has a channel, so that's a different perspective there. So I'm a day and day, and when I work on each one of these bikes, I have like 5 to 10 different ideas to shoot, or that could be informational out there between either videos or shorts. So, hey, thank you for hanging with me and bearing through all this craziness. And, you know, hey, you know, at the end of the day, get on your bike, go for a ride, get out of your mind, you know, get healthy. Nothing better to be on a nice long ride and just kind of, you know, reconnect to yourself in a sense, and, you know, get grounded. And cycling does that for me, and it does that for a lot of people. I'm not not pushing the racer scene. I am basically the individual recreational riders, the people who do charity rides and that kind of thing. That's my home place. That's my sweet spot. That's my warm hug. So warm hug to you. We survived 22. We're going into 23. Let's have a great banner year. Do a lot of fun rides and make it exciting. Thanks for spending the time with me. Until next time, from the garage.